Thank you guys for watching this video. I got 1.3k views. Wait, 1.32k views on this video. Thank you all for who watched it. Today we're watching some YouTube shorts, so I hope you guys enjoy.
Decided to deal with the growing star. Does a boomerang actually come back? I don't know.
Does a boomerang actually come back? I'm actually not too sure, but guys, Mike Shake. Yeah, I don't know. But basically, guys, I'm not sure, yeah, it kind of does, but it goes in a circle.
But I wanted to find out. I started trying immediately, and every single time the boomerang was flying and flying without ever coming back at me. I tried different grips and pinch styles, but absolutely nothing changed. And right when I was getting desperate, thinking my boomerang was probably broken, I decided to do some research. I tried pinching the boomerang in a completely different way, using thumb and index finger. Another huge mistake I was making was the way I was keeping the boomerang. The sticker side has always to stay up. And finally, we should snap the wrist to give the boomerang as much rotation speed as possible. And literally, as soon as I did that, I started to see the first good results. And after running around for about half an hour, this happened. That's really cool. Does a boomerang actually come?
No, guys, I'm not gonna scroll through and do everyone, but
How celebrities handle stalkers. Maybe they have the security take care of them.
what?
Get a haircut with the wig. You ever wonder how celebrities handle stalkers?
How do they handle stalkers?
Maybe they have the security take care of them or a restraining order. Well, one celebrity decided to take the situation into their own hands.
What?
Robert Pattinson once had a stalker staying outside his apartment all day, every day. After a couple weeks, he decided to do something about it. So he asked her to dinner, not to get to know her, actually
Smart.
the complete opposite. She ended up taking him to her parents' restaurant for dinner that night, thinking that would impress him. Once they sat down, that's when he set his plan into motion. He started complaining about anything and everything in his life. Not a single positive thing was said, and that went on for over 2 hours. At the end of the dinner, her dad walked up and handed him the bill while she got up and walked out, and he never saw her standing outside his apartment again. You ever wonder how celebrities handle... Get a haircut.
Alright,
Four people
4 people who celebrate it. This is Luke
who celebrated too early. In this volleyball game,
If you're playing volleyball,
a player managed to save the ball with their foot, and the
But isn't that against the rules? No feet are allowed in volleyball, right? No feet allowed in volleyball, isn't that it?
other team didn't expect it, so they started celebrating.
Shaq said after an NBA game, a mom was yelling at players for charging kids a lot of money for their shoes. Shaq then tried to give her $2,000 out of his pocket and said, "I'm sorry, I don't make the prices." She smacked the money out of his hand and said, "How about you just make shoes that are affordable?" So that day, Shaq cut Reebok and started his own shoe company. Years later, he made a post saying, "Laugh all you want. The Shaq brand has sold over 120 million pairs of affordable shoes for kids." Shaq said after an NBA game, a mom was yelling at players for charging kids a lot of money for their shoes. Shaq then tried to...
The hell?
This was the most dangerous
This is the most dangerous amusement park in the whole world. Let's have a look, guys.
This was the most dangerous amusement park in the entire world, and you can probably see why, considering this is a real photo. It was called Axon Park, and it was a popular water park in New Jersey in the 1980s and 90s. I guess back then they didn't really regulate safety, because nearly every attraction in this park was just completely unsafe. For starters, none of the rides were actually designed by engineers. Instead, they were mostly designed by just normal people, with the intention of making the rides as thrilling as possible, but with little to no safety precautions in mind. A perfect example of that was the Cannonball Loop ride, which was basically a closed water slide with a 360-degree loop. When the owner of the park, a man named Gene, first tried testing the ride using mannequin dummies, some of them literally came back with their heads gone. So instead, Gene decided to start paying his employees $100 each to test the ride themselves. And even though a lot of them came back with teeth missing and bruises, the ride opened to the public anyways. Because of the ride's design, people would often get stuck at the top of the loop. People would also always come out of the ride with scratches everywhere. And no one knew why, until employees eventually discovered a bunch of people's teeth lodged inside the loop. The park was eventually shut down in 1996 after 6 people died and way too many lawsuits. This was the most dangerous amusement park in the entire...
Crappy things happening in schools.
Crappy things happening in schools. Let's have a look.
This was the most...
Crappy things happening in schools. A follower submission. This kid's school has 3 floors, and recently the school installed shutters on all of the 2nd and 3rd floor bathrooms, which blocks the bathrooms off so kids can't use them during class. So the only way people can use the bathroom is by going to the 1st floor. But that's not fair to students that might have medical conditions, that make that entire journey through a huge school to the 1st floor. Also, students are feeling humiliated about this. This is a picture of what the shutters look like. It's from a news article. In my opinion, this is completely bogus, and these students have actually made a petition to get these shutters removed. If you want to support this school, go sign that petition. It's in the comments. It's just
Donald Trump, you are known for your terrible haircut, and now I can see why. Your hair sucks. You look like Justin Bieber caught on fire.
What's the difference between a wet raccoon and Donald J. Trump's hair? A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion fucking dollars in the bank.
Going to be testing $8 pair of goalkeeper gloves versus $80 pair of goalkeeper gloves to see which is best. Let's get to it.
Do with Michael Jackson when he died. He had so many plastic surgery they decided to melt him down into Legos. Now kids play with him for a change. Do with Michael Jackson when he died. He had so many plastic surgery they decided to melt him down into Legos. Now kids play with him for a change. Do with Michael Jackson when he died. He had so many plastic surgery they decided to melt him down into Legos. Now kids play with him for a change. Do with Michael Jackson.
What did they do with Michael Jackson?
He died. He had so many plastic surgery they decided to melt him down into Legos. Now kids play with him for a change. Do with
99% of smartphones are either made of glass or plastic. But which one's better? Well, if I grab this sharp screwdriver here, you'll see that with the glass phone, it completely glides over it. No damage at all. But if I do the same thing to the plastic phone, instant gouges. Oh, that does not look pretty. So glass is more resistant to scratches. But glass is also brittle. So if I grab a hammer and smash the screwdriver into the phone, it will shatter. Oh dear, that went straight through. Whereas, if I try that same thing on the plastic phone, we're actually okay. While the glass one is literally in pieces, the plastic is only dented.
In 2016, a man in Massachusetts went to a yard sale and bought an old drawing for $30. He didn't know much about art,
$30.
but since he thought it looked intriguing, he just decided to keep it in his home to show some friends. And when a few of those friends started saying that the art looked suspiciously like the work of a famous artist from the 1500s, he just thought it was
Yo, what?
much too crazy to be true. So, the drawing just stayed in his house for the next few years. But in 2019, one of his friends came across an art dealer just purely by chance and asked him if he could come take a look at the drawing. The guy agreed, and when he eventually came over and took a look, he was just completely stunned. He immediately recognized the drawing as the work of Albrecht Dürer, who's regarded as one of the greatest German artists of all time, and also one of the most important artists during the European Renaissance. And since the last time a new quality drawing of his was discovered was over 100 years ago, this was an absolutely insane revelation. The art dealer spent the
Today, I'm going to be designing a pair of shoes with just $10. As I searched the lonely aisles of this Ace Hardware, I was getting a bit disappointed by the prices. Heck, I even found a brand new pair of shoes for $12, but that's clearly out of my price range. After scouring every inch of this store, I came across this air filter, which I think could be split into two, as well as these zip ties, which brought my total up to $8.99. That's right, I'm under budget. Kind of like how my arch nemesis The Rock is underestimating the Too Easy Army. In fact, we're just 1.8 million subscribers off passing him, so join the movement, hit that sub button. And now that I don't need these useless Air Max, it's time to get working on my next hype shoe. I mean, look at how beautiful they are. Even the locals think so.
Okay.
She likes me. Today,
See,
when you go down big,
subscribe.
you don't quit, you keep fighting.
This man saved humanity from going extinct. Let me explain. During the Cold War, the US and the Soviet Union had enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world, and the fear of nuclear war was on everyone's mind. On October 27th, 1962, the US Navy located an unidentified submarine hiding near Cuba. This submarine, known as B-59, was sent by the Soviets on a top-secret mission armed with a nuclear torpedo bomb. The US tried dropping non-lethal depth charges, forcing it to surface for identification. B-59 was too deep underwater to pick up any radio traffic and hadn't been able to get in contact with the base in Moscow for days. Therefore, the crew had no idea if a war was broken out and interpreted the charges as an attack. The captain, who thought they were about to be blown up, ordered the nuclear torpedo to be launched as a counterattack against the Americans. This would likely have started a full-out nuclear war, causing global devastation and death. For the launch to take place, the captain, the political officer, and the commander of B-59 had to approve. Everyone said yes except Vasily Arkhipov, who refused because he had a feeling the charges might just be warning shots. And that's why this man saved humanity from going.
LeBron James was walking out of the arena when he stopped suddenly to give this young fan a fist bump and then just decided to give him his game-worn shoes. This moment was surprising to a lot of fans because this is something LeBron doesn't do very often. After LeBron handed his shoes over, the young fan couldn't believe it, and even the fans celebrated with him. After the game, LeBron met up with the young fan and signed the game-worn shoes as well. LeBron James was walking out of the arena when he stopped suddenly to give this young fan a fist bump and then just decided to give him his game-worn shoes. This moment was surprising to a lot of fans because this is something LeBron doesn't do very often. After LeBron handed his shoes over, the young fan couldn't believe it, and even the fans celebrated with him. After the game, LeBron met up with the young fan and signed the game-worn shoes as well.
Did you know that in 1960 in America, black people were not allowed to eat in many restaurants along with white people, but the 18-year-old Muhammad Ali couldn't digest this racial discrimination. So when he won an Olympic gold medal for America, he expected from people to treat him in a better way. So one day he decided to enter a white restaurant with his gold medal in his hand and ordered for 2 cheeseburgers, but the lady denied the order with a reply that she doesn't care who he is. He can't eat there if he is black. This incident infuriated the champ, and he asked himself that even after beating the whole world and becoming the champion, how can they put me out of their restaurant? He said the medal worth nothing and directly drove to the Ohio River and threw the medal into the river. Did you know that in 1960 in America...
You're still playing Fortnite all day and you're getting so many views, but...
Most expensive mistakes in history. Apple was founded by 3 people, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ron Wayne. But most people haven't heard of Ron Wayne because back in 1976, he sold his 10% ownership of Apple for only $800. If he had decided to wait until 2022, his 10% would be worth around $300 billion. In 2000, Reed Hastings, the co-founder of Netflix, met with the top executives of Blockbuster. He wanted to either partner up with Blockbuster or sell them all of Netflix for $50 million. Blockbuster laughed at Hastings' 2 offers. 10 years later, Blockbuster went bankrupt, and now Netflix is worth $158 billion.
So we all know that iPhone and Android are rivals, but do they hate each other? Hey Siri, what do you think to Android?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Literally, never fails to disappoint. Hey Google, what do you think to Apple?
There's a lot to know about the company. I can do a search for you.
Guys, where's the beef? Come on! Why are they so tame? Who's better, Apple or Samsung?
This may not be a big surprise, but I'm an Apple fan.
Why do they have to be so humble about it? Can't they just, tear into each other?
According to Samsung TechWin, iPhones have traditionally received more favorable reviews than their Samsung counterparts in terms of overall camera quality.
Oh, for goodness sake. So even Google rates iPhones higher. Subscribe for more iPhone versus Android comparison.
This young fan stuck out his hand for a high five from this Harlem Globetrotter, and this player decided to give him a slow motion high five since there was slow motion music playing in the arena. This kid even looked back at his mom wondering what's happening because it's already been over 10 seconds since he started. This definitely goes down as one of the greatest high fives of all time. This young fan stuck out his hand for a high five from this Harlem Globetrotter, and this player decided to give him a slow motion high five.
Seen it, count money in my dreams. Open it up. Open it up.
See you guys next time.